Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to TGP2. It's rounds 8 and 9, I think, from memory. And we're here in a sunny Silverstone, which is nice. Makes a change for us all, although I'm looking out the window and it's still very sunny, which is nice. So we're in for an interesting night of racing, I think, / hope. We've got one of the two drivers. Obviously, this season we've only had two drivers winning races so far. One of those two isn't here tonight. Is that going to mean now that another driver has twice as much chance to find himself at the head of the podium? We've had a very interesting season along those lines in that regard. So our championship leader TGPI Plays is currently sitting on provisional pole. We'll run through the qualifying order in a bit, but as said, we are missing Dan's car tonight from proceedings. He is unable to make it, so that could be huge in his title push. But TGIP Plays with a comfortable 21-point gap at the moment at the top of the standings, which we will run through with you now. So as I said, yep, TGIP Plays on top, and we've got Dan's car in second, Chris Johnson, surprise entry up in third, reigning champion Luca Chiapelli in fourth, who's tied on points with fifth with Kyle, Dom Smith just behind them, 10 points back in sixth, Barry seventh, then we've got Dzik in eighth, Cassidy ninth, and running out the top 10 is Jack Craig. So let's have a quick run down through. Oh, sorry, I'll quickly introduce Owen. Owen, hello, Owen. How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks, Mike. You can carry on now with whatever you're going to do next.
I was just about to run through our provisional qualifying order. You've been keeping a close eye on proceedings so far. Yeah. TGIP Plays, he's looking quick at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely looking very quick in this session. He's on an out lap. We've got Sim Racing Davis out on a flying lap at the moment, so this will be his last lap of the session, heading towards Stowe Corner for you now, Mike.
Yep, so into the last couple of corners then. The man currently sat second, just over a tenth off of pole so far as he comes into the tricky chicane now. Needs to try and get a good exit now, not get too squirrely, and as he gets towards the final corner, what's his lap time going to be? He does go quicker by 0.02 of a second, Owen. Wow!
Yeah, fair enough.
Gauntlet
yeah,
has been put down.
Yeah. I think the next one of the top guys we're going to see on a lap is Mr. Chiapelli. He's just starting. Most of them, he's done his lap quite early, Sim Racing Davies, compared to all the rest of the other guys.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Chiapelli then on his hot lap. TGIP Plays has just begun his. Bossman Sean also on an out lap at the moment. He's up there in third. So we've got the top three separated by a quarter of a second. And then Smokey J's is 9/10 back, who's got a very similar time to Chiapelli then. So Chiapelli has got a lot of time to find. He's gone very wide through Cops or Stowe. Can never remember which one that's Cops.
Cops. Now he's in Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel now.
Maggots and Beckett's. As he comes on then to the hanger straight. Chiapelli's got a lot of time to find. We saw him go wide for that corner. How is he comparing? I have no idea. As he now heads up to Stowe, which I know this is Stowe, and as he heads through the corner now, fast right-hander, using all of the curb on the exit, now up to the tricky, it's club chicane, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is club Mike.
So I'm really ruining the suspense of this lap. Anyway, Chiapelli then round the final corner. This isn't going to be good enough for pole. Is it even going to be an improvement?
It is.
Yes, it is. He finds 6/10 in the end, and he's now a third of a second off of pole, but that is his last lap. Sean is coming through the first sector, but Plays is coming now along the old start-finish rate. Owen, has he been on a good enough lap?
He looks like he's been on a decent one so far. I've been following Chiapelli and now switched to him now. He's coming through Cops Corner and heading towards the very far section. That is Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel.
Yeah. So he's properly going for it now. The Saboteur always got a bit wide there through Chapel. Bossman Sean further back has retired. He's going no better than third onto the main straight now. Interestingly to see, he's actually in mode 4 there, Owen. So going for the overtake mode for that little bit of extra power. TGIP Plays then into Stowe, using all of the grass, not using much of the curb on the exit, and he dives into the pits.
So that's it. So who else have we got on a lap?
Elite Shots is currently on a lap. Jack Craig.
Yeah, he's just coming through Cops.
Very neat and tidy through Cops there.
Yeah, coming through Cops, heading towards Maggots and Beckett's. He's going to keep it flat through the first. Well, he should have kept it flat. More experience. It's been quite scrappy actually, and quite untidy through this section of corners, Mike.
Yeah, that wasn't very quick from Jack Craig, and if he wants to get himself further up the grid, he's got to find at least, well, he's got to find over a second to move himself up into seventh. So a big task for the young Scot. coming in now to the final chicane. Runs a little bit wide there. As Owen said, hasn't been the neatest of laps, but has he found at least a second to push him up the order a little bit? He found half a second.
Wasn't enough.
So not quite good enough there from Jack.
So yeah, that is your order because no one else is on a hot lap.
No, they're not. Well, my eyes are glued, Owen, at the moment to that gap between the top two. That's quite something. Over however long the Silverstone circuit is, what's the third longest on the calendar?
Yes, third longest on the calendar.
1,000th.
It is I'll give you the distance if you really want.
Thank you very much.
It is a 3.6 mile circuit around Silverstone.
So over 3.6 miles, only 1,000th of a second can separate our top two.
Yeah.
Riddle me that. So then, let's give you a rundown of our final qualifying order. So, Sim Racing Davis takes a fantastic pole position. Then we've got TGIP Plays, our championship leader, in second place. Bossman Sean in third. Good consistent lap times from him to get him there. Mr. Chiapelli fourth. Chris Johnson was a latecomer. We didn't really see him post that time, but did end up fifth. Smokey Jays on his return to the series in sixth. Dom Smith in seventh. Jack Craig in eighth. Michael Kenny ninth. Bazza rounding out the top 10. And starting on some fresh tyres will be Mr. John and Red Bull Kim. Owen, what are your pre-race predictions? Who do we think is looking good out there? I mean, obviously we know who's looking good, but who do we think is looking good enough to take the win?
Oh, well, it's going to be an interesting battle between Plays and Sim Racing Davis. Plays and Danskar, who's not here tonight, have taken all the wins so far this season, so it'd be nice to see another guy take a victory. Maybe Bossman Sean can throw his name into the hat as well.
Yeah, but it'll make a change, and that's what we like to see. We do like to see a little bit of unpredictability, and hopefully we can find ourselves on round 8, having only our third different winner this season. How many times have we not said that in TGP2 in the past, though? And this season has very much been ruled so far by the Estonian and Plays. Where is Plays? Is he British?
He is British.
He is British, yeah, there he is. So, it's could be very interesting to see who comes out on top here. But I think we're just about finishing up, getting ready then. We're just waiting for the last few drivers to make themselves comfortable before we head down to the grid. This fantastic pit complex in Silverstone, built in 2010, but there's 3, 4, 5 lights at Silverstone today, and it's lights out, and away we go, and it's a good start from the front two, and Bossman Shaw's getting a little bit squirrely behind them, but who's going to make it into turn one first? Davis holds on to it. Chiapelli's getting a little bit racy on Bossman Shaw as well, and his Play's going to try and move into Village. He's going to have a go for it. He's sending up the inside, but he's not close enough, and naturally Plays gets a little bit squirrely, and that allows Bossman Shaw up the inside, and as they come now onto the Wellington straight, it's Sean who's in second, and Davis already has a comfortable lead, but is TGB Plays going to try and move it? We've got a Mercedes off in the background. Is Plays going to try one?
Yeah, he is.
Into Brooklands, he is, and he makes his way up into second place. But Owen, it was crucial there for Plays, for his hunt for the win, that he had to get back past Sean there as quickly as possible. Yeah,
he needed to. He got a good start there, Sim Racing Davies. Got back past Sean as well there, Plays, and he's got himself into second position again, and Chiapelli's having a look at Sean for third.
Yeah, Chiapelli looking very racy as Sean runs a little bit wide there and actually helps him off the corner. It's hindered Chiapelli somewhat and given the Dane of Smokey Jays on his TGV2 return a little sniff at fourth place, but through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, very difficult to overtake as they headline astern. Then it's actually, we've got Smokey Jays off in the background. I don't know what's happened with them there, but Sean's also trying to have a little look at TGIP Plays second place, but for the moment he stays put coming through Stowe Corner. And as we make our way round to complete the first lap, we'll give you a rundown of the order. So as they head across the line then, it's Sim Racing Davis who leads them. We've got TGIP Plays running very wide there, but he is currently in second. Bossman Sean third, Chiapelli fourth, Chris Johnson in fifth, Jack Craig sixth, Dom Smith in seventh, Bazza in eighth, Michael Kenny ninth, Smokey J's down in 10th after that incident. Mr. John and Red Bull Kim running out the order at the moment. The field still remaining very close with only a couple attempts between each of them as we make our way onto Wellington Straight for the second time, Owen.
Yeah, very close start. What caused Plays to run wide was he clipped the sausage curb on the inside of the final corner, and that just sent him wide, and that's why he was off into, well, I would say grass normally, but at Silverstone there's a massive amount of tarmac for you.
Yep. Yeah, well, he was nearly venturing into Northamptonshire while still in Buckinghamshire there before he should have done. So interesting to see there. The field starting to spread themselves out a little bit. Obviously, no DRS this lap. That comes next lap. Smokey Jays and Michael Kenny giving each other a good bash further down as we come through Copse Corner. And Smokey Jays was having a think around the outside. There was a little bit of contact there. And now Mr. John's going to fancy his chances. Smokey Jays all over the road. And he's going to try and send one down the inside. He bloody well thought about it. And Michael Kenny's actually had a spin. And there's carnage there. Mr. John has gone, so Kim has ended up somewhere as well. I don't know where Michael Kenny... Oh, he's facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
He's on the grass. And I don't know if there was contact. I saw it late because my camera
there was contact.
Michael Kenny...
Yeah, Michael Kenny basically lost it into the third part, into the Beckett's corner, and Smokey Jays is in, and yeah, just Smokey Jays had nowhere to go but into the side of him. So,
and Smokey Jays has decided to pit from that now, so clearly taking a bit of damage. But our closest battle on track at the moment, Luca Chiapelli, quite fancies a go at Bossman Shaw's provisional third place. Well, he did fancy a go until he ran wide coming onto the Wellington Straight, and that definitely will not help him in this crucial overtaking turn, Owen.
No, definitely not. He's heading towards Brooklands Corner now. He's not going to be anywhere near close enough with the DRS, as you can see, and heading into left field corner, he's still not close enough. Also got plays actually less than a second behind Sim Racing Davis for the race lead at the moment.
Yeah, so these two maybe not getting away quite as quickly as some of us thought, as Plays runs a little bit wide there coming through Copse. I mean, they do have a 2-second get back to Sean, who is going to have to start looking in his mirrors a little bit for Chiapelli. So these two have got themselves a little bit of a comfort zone there. Plays runs a little bit wide, and it did drop him out of that second mark, but because the detection zone so much earlier, he did actually keep the DRS there. So, Owen, how crucial is this phase of the race when the tyres are just starting to fade away from those who started on the ones they qualified in, and trying to get them as far as they can without taking too much life out? Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a crucial factor in this race. You want to try and get yours to, I'd say the softs to about lap 5-6 maybe. I didn't do the first race yesterday at Silverstone myself, so I'm not too aware of the situation tyre wear wise. Meanwhile, we've got a very good battle brewing between Chris Johnson and Elite Shots. This is the battle for P5 and P6, Mike.
Yeah, so Jack then getting quite racy behind Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson definitely the surprise package so far this season in the championship. Finds himself in a dizzying third place. The man who Dom Smith tipped to be the season 18 champion, which never turned out to be his year after all. Typical Liverpool. And now being piled by pressure by Jack Craig as Chiapelli also just 0.2 of a second off Sean. So battles happening for the podium positions and 5th place at the moment. So it's good racing to keep an eye on. Yeah, definitely
good racing to keep an eye on. We're going to keep an eye on the battle for third, mainly because this is further up the grid. Last podium spot. Decent run through Copse there from Mr. Chiapelli. He's going to be hoping to get DRS down the Hanger Straight as he goes through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel now.
Yep, crucial part to set yourself up for a really good exit, which Chiapelli ran a little bit wide in the final part there, so he may find himself a little bit offline.
Yeah, well, Sean hit the grass actually as well, so he didn't get a good run on the straight either.
Yeah, I thought he would have sent one, Owen.
No, I just don't think it was close enough, and they both pull into the pits this time round actually.
Yeah, so third and fourth in the pits. And no one else at the moment has joined them. I wonder if they both thought... Oh, Dom Smith has decided pit as well. I wonder if they both thought the other one wasn't going to. Yeah,
I think that's maybe what they're doing. They're both trying... They're going to undercut each other. Maybe Chiapelli was a reaction to Sean peeling in early.
Something just happened with Chiapelli. I think that was lag, actually. But he just stopped randomly in the middle of the pit lane.
Oh, OK, yeah. I think that probably was lag by the sounds of what you just said there, Mike. Got to follow this battle, which is now P3 on the road between Elite Shots and Chris Johnson, thanks to the pit stops of Bossman Sean and Mr. Chiapelli. They're heading towards Brooklands and Luffield now, and they weren't quite close enough this time, Elite Shots, as they head into Luffield.
Yeah, well, could one of them get a good run out of Luffield onto Woodcote and try something into Copse Corner? You'd have to be. I think you have to be alongside someone at this point to be able to try something into Copse. Don't you? It's a very risky place to try and make a manoeuvre.
Yeah, Copse is very difficult. It's basically flat in these modern day F1 cars. So you need to be all the way alongside and probably up the inside to have any chance of making the move stick. Chris Johnson has had an awful run through there.
Yes, sorry, Owen, to butt in there because you noticed it as well. Chris Johnson making a little bit of a mistake. We've got a yellow flag further back. We're going to keep an eye on this battle for third place on the road at least, as Jack Craig is sending one down the inside as they get towards Stowe and the Williams for now, although Chris Johnson is battling back hard. They both run wide. We've got the top two have decided to pit. Chris Johnson is now having to admit defeat, and the Williams driver moved his way up into P3. That was good racing, Owen.
Yeah, very good battle, and we've got this battle of the guys that have stopped already getting very tasty. Dom Smith has actually passed the pair of Chiapelli and Bossman Sean during those rounds of stops. I think it might have been on the outlap, but I'd just seen it flick up on the position change thing. But now we've got Bossman Sean all over the back of Chiapelli.
Yeah, well noticed, Owen, and Sim Racing Davis, interestingly, has stayed ahead of TGIP Plays in that. Dom Smith running a little bit wide there, but that could really help out Jack Craig and Chris Johnson. If these two have made a mistake or had contact, Chiapelli and Bossman Sean, then this could really help Jack Craig end up in a podium position maybe, because Dom Smith was behind Chris Johnson and Elite Shots before the pit stops took place. We have a yellow flag at the moment in sectors 2 and 3. I think Michael Kenny's been off the road again. But now the interesting call is going to be, when do Chris Johnson and Jack Craig decide to pit? When is they think that now's the time? It's got to be this lap. If they're going to not lose enough time with Dom Smith and Chiapelli, and Sean for that matter, then I think they've got to pit now, don't you, Owen?
Yeah, I definitely think they've got to pit this lap. They've got the tyres going off ever so much, and they're going to be going onto the medium tyres, which I know round Silverstone seems to take an age to warm up.
Yeah. Well, actually, Plays has lost a couple of seconds in the stops now. He's now 2.2 behind Davis, and Craig thought about it, but Chris Johnson has decided. Was that a wrong call from Jack Craig there, Owen?
I believe it might be. It's getting to the point where it's too long. Meanwhile, we've got Chiapelli and Dom Smith and Bossman Sean just going round the outside of Dom. He got an awful run through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, and now Mr. Chiapelli, Bossman Sean, is now all changed around in that battle for 8th place. And Chiapelli is the head of the train, but he's going to have Bossman Sean going around his outside at Stowe.
Yeah, here we go. Sean then around the outside, and that was full commitment there from the Irishman. Hats off to him. Though ran a little bit wide, Chiapelli's going to try and battle it again up the inside, and Dom Smith just waiting in the wings for something to happen with these two. They're still side by side as they now head on to the new pit straight, and Sean has at least made the move stick, but Chiapelli with the DRS into turn 1. Chris Johnson's there somewhere as well, coming out of the pits, and Sean's holding on, this battle continuing, and Sean, for the moment at least, has held on to it, but Owen coming onto the Wellington straight, Chiapelli's going to have the upper hand again, surely?
Well, the person I'll be looking for, he had a poor exit actually there. I was about to say Dom Smith will be looking very tasty in this battle, but guess not, as he got a poor run onto the Wellington straight. Heading to Brooklands now though, and Chiapelli is back past Bossman Sean once again in this race.
So these two might have cost themselves the chance of a podium, but Chiapelli running wide, and Sean's going to stick his nose at the inside, and there's a little bit of contact, and Sean actually did very well to keep hold of the car, and Dom Smith stays behind, but that has cost Sean time. Dom Smith then, is he going to try and run around the outside into Cop's corner? No, Sean squeezes him a little bit, but it remained line of Sterners. Oh, and Jack Craig got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Yeah. Oh, disastrous. There goes his podium hopes. Unless something drastic happens to not only Chris Johnson, Chiapelli, Sean and Dom, but these three still having a fantastic battle. They're letting Chris Johnson go by the sector. Yeah,
well, Red Bull Kim and Plays and Sim Racing Davies, Red Bull Kim hasn't stopped yet. I thought the gap had closed up a little bit, but it hadn't actually, so it looked a bit weird on the timing. But Bazza and Elite Shots in the pit lane. Where's Elite Shots going to come out? That is the crucial factor at the moment, Mike.
So Chris Johnson is on the main straight and come around turn 1 at the moment. I think he is going to be ahead of Jack Craig, is he? Yes, he is. So not only has he now got a penalty, but he's now staring at the Sauber, which he wasn't at before the pit stops. But Sean is still all over Chiapelli. These two will not leave each other alone. Well, and Sean was trying a bit of a late lunge there, Owen, and that was never going to come off.
No, that was never not. Meanwhile, speaking of all that, Chris Johnson, Elite Shots. Remember, Chiapelli and Bossman Sean were actually ahead before the pit stops, and now behind both Elite Shots and Chris Johnson.
Yeah, so we don't know. Obviously, we both missed what happened. Clearly, something happened between Sean and Chiapelli on their respective outlaps. Because not only has it put them behind It put them behind Dom Smith at the time, but now, crucially, they are behind Jack Craig and Chris Johnson. So if they do want a podium, they have to overtake both. Well, Jack Craig has a penalty, admittedly, but they do at least have to get past Chris Johnson.
Yeah, both have to get past Chris Johnson. Meanwhile, coming onto the back straight, the hanger straight now, Elite Shots has actually got the DRS. He's going to have a lap fresher tyres on Chris Johnson, and surely it's going to be a matter of time before Elite Shots gets himself back past Chris Johnson, but he's got
surely
that 5 second penalty.
Sorry to interrupt, but we've got Sean trying again round the outside into Stowe corner, and he's holding on to it, and there's contact again. Chiapelli and Sean, these two having a bit of a love affair. There's more rubbing and bumping going on there, and Dom Smith fancying his chances now. Coming on to the start-finish rate, Sean gets a little bit squirrely. Dom Smith's going to get up the inside. Sean's well off, and Mr. John's in the pits during all this as well, as Sean comes back onto the track in front of Dom Smith, and through turn 1, then Sean runs a little bit wide, but somehow stays ahead of the Red Bull. Sorry to interrupt you there, Owen, but I had my eye on that the whole way down the hanger straight, and I could just see something bubbling.
Yeah, something was definitely brewing there. So we've got two key battles brewing in this race, because Elite Shots is now side by side with Chris Johnson into Brockens. And is he going to get the move done round the outside at Luffield? It's going to be bold. He's backed out. He's going to try and do the whippity-wop, flippity-flop, and he's going to try and maybe make a move at Cops.
Well, he's certainly going to be thinking about it. He's in a great position at the moment, and he's going to have a look up the inside. Chris Johnson's going to have to be mindful that he has a penalty. But Chris Johnson has decided to go off the road instead, risking himself a penalty, and they're going to be side by side going into Maggots and Beckett's, and Chris Johnson's gone off and he's had to take the escape road. Where's Jack Craig in all of this? I've somehow managed to skip to Chiapelli, and Jack Craig
Chris
has
Johnson's
got ahead.
rejoined right behind Jack Craig, so he has lost the position there, Chris Johnson there, by going off the road, but they're going to be in his slipstream heading towards Stowe corner now.
Very much so, and we've got Sean still all over the back of Chiapelli. Is he going to try around the outside for the 3rd time this race? He thinks better of it, but he does the whippity-wop, flop, the top shop. Can't even get the words out, as Sean does now move up into 6th place. Yeah,
Sean up into 6th, missed Chiapelli down to 7th. Elite Shots has actually got past Chris Johnson as well. We don't know where to look in this race. He's got him on the DRS straight. That goes into Abbey corner.
Chris Johnson made the mistake, remember, Owen?
Okay, yeah. Well, oh yeah, of course, he got part. Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, but he's now in prime position to make a move on the Wellington Straight. Battles happening all over the racetrack at the moment. The top 2 seem to be well decided, but behind then, it's anyone's guess, as Chris Johnson is in prime position again to have a look, but thinks better of it. Is Chiapelli going to be able to make a move on Sean? He's certainly going to have a think about it, and he's certainly going to have a lunge, and there is more contact, and Sean, for the meantime, stays ahead of the Mercedes. Owen, I can see this getting fraught, shall we say.
Yeah, there's been lots of wheel banging so far in this race between these two drivers, Chiapelli and Sean. You think this is British touring cars, but no, this is TGB2, ladies and gentlemen. Just to remind you of that.
Well, I'm going to turn my attention quickly back to Chris Johnson again, because he's just 2 tenths off, but we're going to have to keep swapping between these two. If they could just extend their gaps by a couple of seconds, this will make this a lot easier. But Chris Johnson then on to the hanger straight. Is he going to throw one on the inside? Jack Craig, a late defensive move. Chris Johnson has to back out of it, but round the outside goes the Sauber driver, and it's, for the moment at least, into 3rd place. Yeah,
done deal there. We're going to switch back to Chiapelli and Bossman Sean. They're still battering hammer and tong as well. So Chris Johnson once again back past Elite Shots. Elite Shots, he must be ruining that speeding penalty into the pit lane.
Yeah, well, at the moment, he is going to drop to 6th place. So Dom Smith has sort of lost touch with this battle. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. I don't know who that's for. But we have got Jack Craig still all over the back of Chris Johnson. These two now 11 seconds behind the top 2, and there's been a massive gap change in the top 2. We haven't even meant to mention that, because Jack Craig has got a run on Chris Johnson again down the Wellington Straight. You can have a look up the inside into Brooklands. There's a little bit of contact. Chris Johnson runs wide. Jack Craig's now going to try around the outside, and is he going to try and cut back and get up the inside into So? He's certainly going to think about it.
He's going to try and move into Cops again.
Through Woodcote there. They're still side by side. Contact! They were in the wall! Oh, disaster! Oh, that's horrible to see. And these two have both lost their front wings. And suddenly, Bossman Sean and Chiapelli are fighting for a podium again. That could not have gone worse.
No.
From first glance, I'm afraid I have to put the blame on Chris, but from my angle, I probably saw it a little bit differently to some others. But it did look like Chris just turned in on him there and left him nowhere to go. He had put his nose there already, and clearly there was a mistake made there somewhere. And it has really cost these two a shot of a podium with just 2.5 laps to go, Owen. I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. It's just suddenly meant this Sean and Chiapelli, who thought they were battling for 5th position, now suddenly battling for a podium once again in this race. And TGIP Plays, he's actually closed up quite massively to the back of Sim Racing Davies. It's now less than a second.
Well, he seriously turned the wick up. We're going to have to keep half an eye on this, as well as half an eye on the battle for 3rd. Unfortunately, we have lost Jack Craig, who has somehow ended up in a wall during all this. But Chiapelli now has a fantastic run onto the Wellington Straight. He's in prime position to make a move on Sean, just half a second back. Is he going to make a lunge into Brooklands? He's certainly thinking about it, but thinks better of it for the time being. Sean runs a little bit wide through Brooklands, and he's... Oh, and I thought he was going to try one coming round Luffield, I think it's called. But we're going to have to turn our attention now back to the top two with just over a lap to go. Sim Racing Davis has not led a lap, but TGIP Plays is getting all over the grass and squirrely, and this has probably ruined his chance, at least into Stowe, Owen, getting on the grass.
Yeah, definitely ruined his chance going into Stowe there. He's going to have to wait till the final lap. He's still in closing range though, so he's still going to have a chance at this race victory and maintain that record of Plays and Danskar being our only race winners this season. Sim Racing Davies is trying to make it the 3rd different winner.
Yeah, no pressure. Chiapelli is just 4 tenths behind Bossman Sean, but coming into Stowe, it's not close enough to make the move. We're, for this last lap at least, going to stick our full attention on the battle between the top two. The gap has been higher, the gap has been lower, and TGIP Plays is poised now to try and make a move on Sim Racing Davis. We're going to go on board with him now down the Wellington Straight. Is he close enough for a move? He's just over half a second back, but if not now, when? He's going to have one more realistic opportunity on the final lap to keep that record of just 2 race winners so far in TGP2. Sim Racing Davis runs horribly wide through Luffield and now through Woodcut and down towards Stowe, where we saw Chris Johnson and Jack Craig crash just a lap or 2 ago. And at the moment, it's looking good for Sim Racing Davies as he chucks it into Copse Corner. Very neat and tidy, but I have to say, Plays looks faster. And there's just 3.5 tenths now that separate the top two as we come out of Chapel. Oh, and Sim Racing Davies had a horrible exit, and it's been matched by Plays with just 5 tenths in it and 3 corners to go. And Plays, for the moment, is not close enough as we head towards Club Corner now.
Is he going to
Plays nearly ends up in the grass. He's going to try a lunge.
No,
Sim Racing Davis goes defensive, but that's surely that now.
Yep,
as he heads round the final corner, we have our 3rd different winner in the league this season. Sim Racing Davis takes his 1st win in TGP2, and it's still going on the battle for 3rd. Chiapelli's ended up horribly wide. And is he going to try later? He's going to go for it. Oh, and there's contact. And Sean, for the moment, stays ahead, and Chiapelli nearly loses the back end. That was very far-fetched from the Isle of Man driver, and he does stay in 4th. Dom Smith crosses the line in 5th. And Owen, God, didn't that half get exciting?
Yeah, very exciting race. We didn't know where to look. Battles all over the shop, and then we had the battle for Elite Shots and Chris Johnson, with ended disastrously for both drivers. When we just thought we only had 1 battle left, suddenly there's a battle for the lead again, Mike.
Yeah, well, that's what we love about TGP2. It always keeps us guessing, makes our job incredibly difficult at times, but we wouldn't change it for the world. So, but I have to say, fantastic performance there from our top 2. Who did just clear off in the end and keep it between themselves, and it got very close towards the end. Just over half a second covered it. But Owen, if you said to me on about 7 or 8 that we were going to have Bossman Sean on the podium, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It was literally looking like It was looking like Chris Johnson's podium, to lose with Elite Shots penalty, and then it turned out him and Elite Shots ended up in the barrier at the exit of Woodcote, and Bossman Sean and Chiapelli battling for that 3rd.
Yeah, so there we have it then. Sim Racing Davis, fantastic debut win for him. Controlled the race up until the last couple of laps when suddenly he had Plays breathing down his neck. The Force India mechanics will be thrilled. Plays, I don't think, will be too disappointed finishing in second place. And Sean, you have to say, lucky to be third, but won't care a jot. So let's run you down our order then. Sim Racing Davis finished in P1 for Force India even. Alfa Romeo's Played finishing in second. Bossman Sean third. Luca Chiapelli ending up in fourth. Dom Smith fifth. Mr. John in sixth. Smokey J's good recovery from him in seventh. Bazza in eighth. Rebel Kim ninth. Chris Johnson in the end only just getting into the top 10. Michael Kenny 11th. And Jack Craig our only retiree. So, Owen, thoughts?
Very interesting race. We've finally got another winner this season after the speed boys of Danskar and Davis. Plays have been dominating the season so far clearing the championship, and now we've got another winner and probably maybe another contender towards the end of the season if he can keep this up.
Yeah, well, it would be good if we get another body getting in the mix of it. That would be really good to see. Because, yeah, as you said, it's only so much joy you can get about watching two people slogging it out. When you have that third member involved, it just makes it that little bit more interesting. So we'll see if they can keep that going. So we head now to Spielberg, to Austria, and we're going to be high in the hills like a lonely goat, where we watch the drivers tackle this incredibly short yet incredibly fun circuit, Owen.
Yeah. Getting ready to tackle the now known as the Red Bull Ring circuit. Used to be the A1 ring back in the day and the old Österreich ring, and 2.6 miles of this circuit the drivers have to tackle. It's going to be a very interesting race like it was in TGP1. So close in qualifying in TGP1 actually yesterday. I think about 8 tenths cover the whole field who qualified.
I think you're right, yeah. It was very good. It was interesting to see. So hopefully we'll get similar today. Obviously it wasn't particularly close in qualifying for Silverstone, but hopefully the TGP2 boys can continue the closeness that we have in Austria from last night.
Yeah, definitely interesting indeed. As well as we get ready for the second race of the night, it'll be round 9 of the season here at Austria, and let's see if Sim Racing Davis can make it 2 wins on the bounce for the Force India guys, or will Plays pick up another victory. I think he might have been quite conservative actually in Silverstone, just picking up points knowing his main title rival so far this season is not here tonight.
Yeah, that is a key one, and obviously finishing second still wasn't a bad result to him. The 21 point gap has increased to 39, so that could be crucial as we move towards the latter stages of the season. But as we're getting ready to get going now into qualifying, Owen, I just... Is it too late for someone else to get in the mix now between Danskar and Plays? I mean, if Plays goes and wins this race tonight now, he's got over a 50-point lead. That's 2 race wins. Is Danskar, even missing tonight, going to find himself with an incredibly uphill battle?
Yeah, definitely indeed. I'm just trying to look where Sim Racing Davis actually is in the championship standings. I can't find him, so just bear with.
It wasn't his first race tonight, was it?
No, he raced last week, but I just can't find him in the championship standings. Bear with. Bear with. We're
bearing.
Yeah, I think I found him actually. He's currently sitting 15th in the standings. There we are. I think I found him. If it's the wrong person, I'm sorry, but I think he's sitting on 18 points after making his debut last week, Mike. So he's already over 100 points back, and we have a wet qualifying here in Spielberg for you, Mike.
Well, fantastic. This is unbelievable. Right. Well, I don't know what to say, Evan. It's not what I expected.
No, definitely not what we expected, Steve. And they don't have to save tyres, because I've just heard from Red Bull providing us from the Milton Keynes Data Centre and Weather Centre that it will be a dry race here at Spielberg.
Will it? Well, Now, obviously, setups aren't banned in TGP2, as I was reminded in round number 1. So what sort of setup now do drivers go for? Do they go for a wetter one and hope that they get a good result in qualifying, or do they go for a dry setup, risk being further back on the grid, but having a better setup for the race? Well, this is always the tricky bit with having two different weathers.
Yeah, definitely always tricky. It's full wet conditions as well, as we see a first couple of guys head out in this session. So we've got Chris, I think Smokey J's is the first car on the circuit. It might be Chris Johnson. It's either one of them two though. No, it is Chris Johnson. I've just seen him ahead on the circuit.
Well, there we go. And we're going to have to try and judge how the drivers are going to be faring in these tricky conditions, and which one of them is going to come out on top. 16 minutes for the drivers to understand the track conditions, how their cars are going to fare in it, and then put together a perfect lap to find them heading up the grid for the incline to turn 1 at the start of the race.
Yeah.
So I'm currently watching our winner from last time out, Sim Racing Davis, as he heads round sector 2 at the moment. But I'm going to cut to Smokey J because I remember he is our first one on a lap.
Well, Chris Johnson is. Chris Johnson is.
Chris Johnson is. So Chris, he'll be ruining that missed podium opportunity. From the last race, he only had to let Jack Craig go. He did not have to battle him, whether he knew of the penalty or not. I just staring at a podium finish. You like that? Would you? I mean, even if you did have a penalty, you wouldn't make those sort of moves, would you? And it just shows desperation, doesn't it?
Well, from the angle that I saw, it was sort of half a dozen of one, half a dozen of the other. It might have been desync again, because we've seen that last week with Goings and, trying to think who it was, Dansgar, that's the one. So it might have been desync there. We know Chris Johnson is known for his lag, shall we say, is the best way of putting that,
yes,
in the past. So it might have been complete desync between the two drivers.
Yeah, I don't know. I can completely understand why Jack Craig obviously went for the move. He had to, really. Obviously, he had to try and get past Chris and pull out 5 seconds, which was very unlikely, but he was going to give it a go anyway. I'd been worried if he hadn't gone for it. But nonetheless, I hate to assume the worst, obviously, but you know, I do think that Chris should have just maybe let him go. I think that would have been so much easier. And Sauber as well. I mean, you know, they could have been on for a double podium finish in that race, and they didn't.
No, definitely didn't indeed. We've got first couple of guys come in to complete their laps. Sim Racing Davis has gone pole with a 15.5, only just quicker than Smokey Giggs after the first couple of runs from them. We've still got Plays waiting to do a lap, and Chiapelli, and see where they go in this session.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of drivers slip sliding around at the moment. Chiapelli has popped up into 5th place, Sean down in 6th. Oh, we've got Smokey J's having a trip on the grass at the moment as well. He's doing a little lawn cutting. Plays has just popped up into 3rd place, making it a Sauber 3-4 at the moment. Who have we got on a quick? We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Oh, we've got a Williams facing the wrong way. Jack Craig has lost some of his front wing as well, by the looks of it.
Well,
so,
Sim Racing Davis is actually going on another lap. He's gone a tenth quicker in the first sector so far. See what he does in sector 2, Mike.
Yep, so here he comes out through the last sector. Not very much of it. These tricky conditions still catching the drivers out as they're learning what's going on. The Ferrari nicely gets out of the way for our race winner from last time round. Sim Racing Davies chucks it into the penultimate corner there. Keeps well away from the curb just in case of any excess water. And as he exits the final corner now, very neat and tidy. Is he going to be to 15.5? He does by 4 tenths. Pushes the bar higher to a 15.10, and that was a very controlled and measured lap time, it seemed.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's just going the way. Oh, he's just going the way of Bazza. Oh, disastrous! And he's got a grid penalty.
Oh dear, what?
Dear, he got it was on his in lap, and obviously he slowed down, but he slowed on the racing line, and Bazza had nowhere to go.
Oh dear, that's not very smart there from Sim Racing Davis there at all. Plays didn't improve on his next current lap, but yeah, not very smart from the race winner from last time out, just slowing down on the racing dime. He should have known Bazza was there, because Bazza was the one who let him pass 2 corners beforehand.
Well, sort of epic proportions.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Plays is 2,000 up in the first sector.
6th now.
Yeah, sorry about that, but Plays is 2,000 up so far in the first sector, so he'll be hoping to build on that. Corners that not actually corners in the dry can turn into corners here in the wet, Mike, can't they?
Yeah, very quickly, very easily, like this one that he's going through now, a doddle in the dry, but suddenly when you're trying to put the power down in the wet, it becomes a serious issue. Chucks it in now to the double left-hander. We've got a car keeping well off the road at the moment.
Yeah, he's 3
I think that
tenths
was
up.
Michael Kenny. And he's still finding time then, so Plays as he comes towards the penultimate corner now. Is this going to put him any closer to Sim Racing Davis? Not that obviously he needs to finish the session fastest, only second will do, as he keeps well away from the curb again, just like Sim Racing Davis did. Plays then up to the line. How much is he going to improve on the 15.7? He does a 15.5 and puts him at the moment provisionally in P2, Owen.
Yeah, still 4 tenths off, well, 3 tenths off Sim Racing Davis though. But Davis has got that 5 place grid penalty now, so at the moment Plays will be starting on pole position.
Yeah. And we've got to see what Smokey J's will do as well. In the pits at the moment, as is Chris Johnson. Chiapelli at the moment down in 5th place. Spazza obviously out of the session now. Dom Smith in 7th. Bossman Charm, we haven't seen much from him yet. He's on an outlap at the moment. But he's keeping... and Sim Racing Davis keeps well out of the way now, shall we say.
Yeah.
But what sort of lap time is Sean going to pull together here in these treacherous conditions? Is he going to be able to move himself up the order?
Yeah, well, we've got Chiapelli just coming towards the end of a lap, actually, Mike. He's definitely on a hot lap because he's only 300ths off his lap, and he's gone a bit rallycrossing, and he's not improved on that lap, unfortunately, for him.
Yeah, I think the last sector, or the last corner at least, might have cost him there, Owen. I don't know about you, but I think that might have been what happened.
Yeah, might have been indeed. I think it's very tricky last corner in the dry, let alone the wet. So easy to catch that inside curb and send you off.
Sean's gone off!
Yep, just you say that. I was on board with Sean actually when you said that, and literally he just got a wheel on the grass and it just absolutely dragged him towards that outside barrier, and he's lost half his front wing.
Well, the driver's clearly still finding conditions tricky, and you can't blame him. As Owen said, full wet conditions. We've got just over 9 minutes left, so half the session gone, and drivers still struggling to learn where the grip is. We've got Smokey J's, who's currently on an outlap. He's about to be starting a hot lap. He's gone on the intermediate tyres, Owen.
Yeah, Sim Racing Davis has completely messed up his braking into turn number 3 normally. And he's just completely messed it up and just gone completely straight on into the gravel there.
Not ideal then for our provisional pole sitter, who, as we know, at best is going to be starting in 6th place. So Smokey J's then on the intermediate tyres. Yeah. Brave call. Yeah, well, actually, I don't think it's so brave. There's a few drivers out there on the intermediates. We've got Smokey J's out there on the inters. We've got Chris Johnson, Dom Smith, Mr. John, Elite Shots, and Red Bull Kim all out on the inter tyres at the moment, but Smokey J struggled to get his stop into turn 2 there. Yeah, so both Haas drivers have gone onto the intermediate tyres. It still looks just as wet out there as it did at the start of the session. Though there is, I suppose, a drier line, but still doesn't quite look ready for the inters. But I don't know, maybe they know something on that. Maybe that's why I'm sat up in the commentary box when they're racing. Yeah. But well, we don't have the data that they have, do we, Mike? That's the thing. We don't, I'm afraid. No. I mean, the Milton Keynes Weather Centre is fantastic, but unfortunately it can only say whether it's raining or not, which, to be fair, we could put our hand out the window and check, but it sounds less impressive, so we go with the Milton Keynes Weather Centre. But nonetheless, Smokey J's is on the lap and is approaching the penultimate corner, but is he going to improve? To be fair, he's not looking... I don't think he will this time, but I think next time round he could be up for a decent lap. It is starting to look a bit dry. He's only 4 tenths off actually on that lap. 4 tenths off his best, and that did include an off, didn't it, Owen? So, yeah, exactly. He went straight on at turn 2. So I think it's starting to go towards the intermediate tyres now. We've got Plays on an outlap. He's come back out on wets, I believe, and Sim Racing Davis is in the pit lane himself at the moment. So Smokey Jones is just slower through the first sector than his own personal best by 0.08 of a second. So it maybe obviously the first sector is mainly just a straight and a corner. So now getting into more technical parts of the lap will be where it really tells whether this tyre is the best one to be on, as he squirrels his way out of turn 4 and now into turn number 6. Difficult one to keep the car interested in there, Owen, but he's managing to so far, and he's 2 tenths up.
Well, 3 tenths up, actually, if you round it up. It's 2.86.
Yes.
And he's binned it.
Oh dear. It was going so well for him.
Yeah, it was. Going a bit too well by the looks of it, as he ended up in a barrier.
I thought he was about to spin into the path of that Sauber, then I had some serious... Why is he staying out? Oh, he is.
Yeah. We're going to watch Elite Shots now. He's also on the Inter tyres. He's one of the quicker guys we've seen from the race at Silverstone. What can he do on his Inter tyres as he comes across the line now, Mike?
Yep, where's he going to put himself in the order? He moved up to 5th place. Good lap there from Jack Craig of 15.7. Does reiterate the point that the track is starting to favour these intermediate tyres as he drifts his way through turn 1. We've got TGIP Plays, who's out on the wets at the moment. Are we about to see him peel in? Chris Johnson's gone second on the intermediate tyres, and indeed Plays is coming into the pits to put on the Inters. Sim Racing has come out on the Inters as well, so the track clearly favouring these tyres, suited a little bit better, so slightly less wet conditions.
We've got Bossman Shaw coming across the line now, and he hasn't improved. Maybe he was on an outlap, or he messed up that previous one. But he's probably the guy at the moment out on circuit who's looking for another lap. We've also got Chris Johnson though as well.
Yep, so both of these two.
Oh, Chris Johnson actually has gone 5 tenths quicker in that middle sector alone.
Chris Johnson then, no pressure sir, but you've just got 1 corner to go until you see yourself on provisional pole. He completely messed up in Silverstone, but in the wet in Austria, he's found the groove to find himself on provisional pole with just over 5 minutes to go. But there's a lot of drivers also joining him on the intermediate tyres at the moment who can still go quicker.
Yeah, Sim Racing Davis just coming towards the end of sector 1 now. Coming around turn 2, a little bit wide round there. Struggling to get power on, but he's going to be looking now on those Inter tyres to beat Chris Johnson's time, which is doable because he set his time on the wet, Sim Racing Davis, and he's only 2 tenths off at the moment.
Yep, so here he comes then round the long turn 5. Gets a little bit on the grass as well. That won't help his traction out. Chucks it into turn 6, the double left-hander then. What's his sector 2 time going to be?
Bossman Shaw's popped up in second.
Yeah, he has. So the drivers are finding time. We've got 4.5 minutes left of the session. Sim Racing Davis then into the penultimate corner to keep it neat and tidy, which he does. Gets a little bit on the curb on the exit though. He won't want that as he comes through the final corner then and up to the line. Where's the Force India going to be? He goes pole by a country mile.
Yeah, shame he won't be starting there after his mishap with Basil though, isn't it, Mike?
No, that's very true. Well, who's next? Plays is on an outlap and will be starting his lap soon. So let's keep an eye on him in a minute.
Smokey J's out on a lap after his mishap when he was going quicker. He could be a contender for pole, but it's going to take a lot to beat that 13.7 or the track to dry up quite significantly.
Yeah. Unless someone really fancies the gamble and chucks on a set of dries, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, so we've got Smokey J's just coming in towards turns 5 and 6, I think. Is that right? 4 and 5? I don't know.
You know, I can never... Some of these corners end up having numbers and some don't, and I can never remember which ones do and which ones don't. Anyway, Smokey J's then... Oh, he's hit the ball again! He's done the same thing! And he's out this time!
Oh, dear.
Oh, what a disaster for the Haas driver. He was looking very quick, actually, but when it came to it, he made the same mistake twice. And Sim Racing Davis has called it a day as well. Yeah,
Bossman Sean's improved his time. He's now up into second with a 14.4, but we've got following TGIP Plays now, coming around turn 4. I've got the track map in front of me this time, so I can tell you.
That's not turn 4.
That is turn 4 on the official track map, Mike.
I thought that little bit before what was previously turn 2 was classed as turn 2. Anyway, he's coming towards the end of the lap. He's on the penultimate corner. We know that at least.
Yeah.
Unless they decide to put something in the middle, and he runs a little bit wide there. But coming into the last turn now, it's Plays going to find himself on provisional pole. What's this lap time going to be? He does a 13.6. Take that.
Yeah, take that indeed. He's got a little bit of patience as well. This TGIP Plays guy doing very well for himself. Currently 13.6. He showed his patience actually in that last one at Silverstone, not going for a move on Sim Racing Davis when he felt he was going to gain point on Danskar.
No, still, as we got Bossman Sean then rounding the final corner to start his lap. He will get 2 runs in if he feels necessary. The track, we're still finding time. Chiapelli's popped up into 4th place as well. Chris Johnson hasn't moved from 5th at the moment. Sean gets a little bit leery coming out of turn 1, but just about holds on to it. Dom Smith is right down the foot of the order. He needs to find some time soon. Red Bull Kim's just popped up into 6th place, so will out-qualify his Haas teammate.
Yeah.
Bossman Sean then chucks it in to turn 3. I'm going to pull up turn 3. Chucks it into turn 3 then on the one of the many straights in this circuit. He has got a McLaren in front of him. Hopefully that won't hold him up too much.
Well, Plays is just coming towards the end of the lap. Sorry to interrupt, Mike, but he's come towards the end of the lap and he's gained another 3 tenths so far in Sector 2. So he's going to improve even more, and he goes to a 13.4.
Wow. Okay, I missed that. That was very good then, as Sean's running wide and still giving it his all, and he's 2 tenths up. Is this 2 tenths up on his personal best, or is this 2 tenths? Oh, and he spun himself! Oh, round he goes. A pirouette for Bossman Sean.
Yeah,
and that will get him perfect 10 on Strictly Come Dancing, but in a wet Austria will find him no points at all.
Yeah, no points at all there, but he has got time to make one final run. He's pulled into the pits actually, so that's the end of Bossman Sean's qualifying session with 30 seconds to go.
Actually jumped up into 3rd, and I've just seen the Sector 1 time, and it's quicker than Plays at the moment, so Chiapelli could be a dark horse for pole.
Well, Plays, how much quicker did he go? Because Plays has got a 10th quicker in Sector 1 himself than his previous best. We'll see what it is. He's another 10.5 quicker by Plays as he goes through turns 5 and 6 now, heading towards turns 7 and 8 towards the end of this lap. He's not going to get another one in after this. So round turn number 7 he goes. And into turn 8 for the final time in this session. He's going to try and improve on his 13.4. The times have been looking good for him. He comes across the line, and that is a 13 dead.
Chiapelli then. Ball is well and truly in your court there, sir. Chris Johnson was the last man across the line. Is Chiapelli going to improve?
Yeah,
he goes second. Half a second off. And Chris Johnson then is the last hope, aside from Red Bull Kim and Dom Smith, to take pole away from Plays and also determine how far down the grid Davis is going to be starting. Chris Johnson understeering like mad through that corner and is 3 tenths down, but this could be still an all Sauber front row.
Yeah,
all the cars through sector 2 at the moment. Kim's just gone off there, so he's not going to be improving. Chris Johnson then, penultimate corner. Are we going to see an all Sauber front row? He runs a little bit wide through the final quarter, but that doesn't matter. Up to the line in, Chris Johnson. He doesn't improve. He will be 3rd place. Dom Smith goes into 4th. Yeah. He's going to be 3rd.
Yeah, so yeah, the front row for this race is going to be Plays and Chiapelli. Chiapelli finally getting getting himself a decent qualifying for this race. He's the reigning champion, and he's not showed too much form of championship winning credential this season, has he, Mike?
No, he's definitely not trying his hardest at the moment, at least, to try and defend that title. But he's put himself in a good place to try and claw some points back. He's in a very harsh battle for P at the moment, and actually would have gained points on Chris Johnson. So that battle for 3rd, very much on at the moment.
Yeah, definitely very much on indeed. Just waiting for, I think, couple of guys to finish off their session now.
Yeah, Kim. It was Kim.
Okay. So yeah, Sim Racing Davis must be ruining that. Well, quite bad mistake on his part. By the sounds of it, Mike. I didn't quite catch it myself, but
yes, it was bad.
Okay, it was a bad mistake, but it means he'll be starting down in P8, I believe.
I think you believe correct. Well, here we go then. So, TGIP plays on pole position again. Mr. Chiapelli joining him on the front row, but half a second down. Sim Racing Davis on the track was third, but we're starting 8th or 9th when the penalty applies. Dom Smith will be third, Chris Johnson fourth, Bossman Sean will be fifth, Red Bull Kim sixth. It would have been an all-Danish fourth row if it wasn't for the Sim Racing Davis penalty. Jack Craig in ninth, Michael Kenny 10th, Mr. John 11th, and Bazza, very unfortunate earlier in the session to be taken out by Davis, will be 12th. But looking at that, I was just reading the times down there, Owen. Only 2 drivers in the end set their best lap times on wets, and the other one was Smokey J's. Now, where could he have been if he hadn't ended up in the wall?
Oh, that is a very good question. Smokey J's, he was gaining time on all his laps. I reckon he would have been in the mix for like 4th, 5th position, the pace he was going about.
I reckon he could have beaten Chiapelli for the front row, because he did a 15.5 on the wet tyres, and most drivers found about 2 seconds between the 2 tyre compounds. So I reckon he could have been challenged for the front row.
He could have. I think he would have he definitely would have got himself a top 5 at least, 100%.
Yes.
So he would have been a couple more places up on the grid. But we're getting ready to go here in Austria. Drivers having their final half-time oranges between the 2 races and the qualifying and the race here in Austria, and ready to go.
Yeah, here we go then. We have 2, 3, 4, 5 lights in Spielberg. And we're underway, and it's a good start for the front 2, particularly Plays, but he did get a little bit of wheel spin in the latter part of the start, and that's going to give Chiapelli a chance, but thinks better of it. We've got Chris Johnson, who bumps into Dom Smith into turn 1. We've got Davis up to 6th already. Bossman Sean running wide on the exit of turn number 1, as we've got 3 cars battling for 4th and 3rd place now. Dom Smith having to go defensive, as he's got a Stauber, a Toro Rosso and a Force India getting racing behind him, and it's Sean who makes the move and makes himself into 4th place, and that also opens the door for Sim Racing Davis to move up to 5th, though disastrous there for Chris Johnson. But it's TGIP Plays at the moment who holds his lead as Sim Racing Davis chucks one up the inside of Bossman Sean and moves himself up to 4th place. So great start for the Force India there, Owen.
Yeah, definitely a very good start. He needed a good start. He's trying to get himself an outside contendership in this title race somehow, from debuting quite late in the season compared to the other drivers. But he's doing a good job about it. Starting P8 and he's already up into P4 in this race.
Yeah, as Luke has actually made some very big inroads as well into TGIP Plays. Also, tyre compounds is going to be a huge detail in this race. We've got a lot of drivers on the Ultra Softs, but Chris Johnson, Bazza and Mr. John all on the Super Softs, as Sean is trying to move up the inside of Davis. Davis decides to close the door on him, runs out a little bit wide, and that gives Sean the chance to come back at him. Dom Smith holding on to 3rd place at the moment, but these 2 behind getting very racy as we head up to turn 3, the big braking zone, the biggest on the track, and Davis holds on to it round the outside. It's a tricky acceleration zone, but for the moment it's Davis who holds on to 4th, and he's now going to be having a look at Dom Smith down into turn 4. Dom Smith does a half-hearted defensive move, and round the outside Davis is going to go. He runs a little bit wide, he gets on the curb, but Dom Smith doesn't exactly get the greatest exit. These 2 still side by side as they head towards turn number 5. The Force India's up the inside, and he forces his way through.
Yeah, very good move there from Sim Racing Davis, back up into 3rd place, and now he's going to try and get onto the back of Chiapelli and Plays has pulled out about a 2nd lead so far, but Davis is really trying to get onto the back of that battle and maybe potentially get himself a race win.
Yeah, looking really racist. Dom Smith runs a little bit wide there. He was going off to Vienna, and that has cost him a place to Bossman Sean, and Chris Johnson has made his way up into the inside, into turn number 1, has he? Dom Smith fighting back round the outside. Good racing between these 2, keeping it clean, as DRS now also comes into play. As they head up now to turn number 3. Dom Smith goes defensive.
Remember, Chris Johnson's on the super soft tyres, so...
Flop, swap, top shop. I
yeah,
said a bit slower, so I can say it better.
Chris Johnson, remember, on the super soft tyres as well, so he's going to have less grip than Dom Smith in this race so far. But what point do the super softs actually become better than the ultra softs? That is the question.
Yeah, that is a very good point. And we've even got Red Bull Kim, who's nosing about in the background as well of this battle. So good to see Kim up there. And I tell you what, Sim Racing Davis has already cut the gap to Chiapelli to less than a second. So I tell you what, it is looking very good for Sim Racing Davis at the moment.
Yeah, definitely very good indeed. I'm going to keep an eye on Chris Johnson for the time being. Coming around the last couple of corners, is he going to be close enough? Maybe a move into turn one? I don't think so. So I'm going to switch over to Sim Racing Davis now.
About it.
Yeah, switch over to Sim Racing Davis. He's going to have the DRS down towards turn two now. I think this is going to be a breeze pass move actually for him. Chiapelli's tried to go defensive. Oh, that's less than a car's whip, Chiapelli. God, you've got to leave at least a car's whip. All the time you have to leave the space, okay?
Got to leave the space. And he didn't that time. But is Sim Racing Davis going to have a better look this time? Oh, and there's contact, and Chiapelli is off and into the wall, and the Mercedes driver who was in P2, maybe that time he got his just desserts.
Yeah, well, I was riding on board with actually Sim Racing Davis, and it didn't look like there was actually any physical contact between the two cars. So it was a bit of an odd one.
Well, maybe a little bit of a lag spike or something on there, as we got Red Bull Kim going off in the background of Chiapelli's wounded car heading its way back to the pits, and we now have Sim Racing Davis up into second place and can begin his pursuit of TGIP plays.
Yeah, I wonder what strategy Chiapelli's going to do now. He's going to have to do a front wing change. Is he going to jump onto the super soft tyres, or is he going to jump onto the next one up?
He's jumping onto the softs, isn't he?
No, he's gone super softs. He's going to try and make the super softs last to the end of the race. That's going to be, what, 14 laps in this race, as Chris Johnson is up the inside and past Dom Smith and up into P4 in this race. So I think the ultras are starting to go off, Mike.
Yeah, it's getting to that point in the race now where definitely the tyres are starting to change, and one is becoming better than the other. Dom Smith thinks better of it than to try a lunge down into turn number 4. So Chris Johnson, as you rightly said there, move up into 4th place. We're on lap number 5, and TGIP Plays has a 2.8 second advantage over Sim Racing Davis as he heads into the penultimate corner. When are these drivers going to think that now is the time to pit for them, and is it going to be sooner rather than later?
Yeah, that is the question indeed. We haven't really got any close battles anymore on the circuit currently, because Chris Johnson has now got past Dom Smith and his tyres are starting to fall off Dom. So not really any battles brewing at the moment on the circuit, Mike.
No, I see what you mean. And Chiapelli, 13 seconds alone off Michael Kenny, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, his rivals, Chris Johnson, as we mentioned, was battling for third, and it was looking so good for Chiapelli earlier. Yeah. But Chris Johnson running in 4th place is going to extend that gap in the battle for third in the standings as we stand.
We've got a battle brewing between Bazza and Red Bull Kim for 7th place in this race. The Ferrari driver going up against the Haas driver from Denmark. See how that battle perspires. Perspires? That's
a new one.
What's the word I'm thinking of?
I have no idea. I don't know where you're going to come from, perspires.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know myself, to be honest. I'm trying to think of the word, but I can't. Anyway, there's a battle brewing between the pair of them.
There's a battle going on for 7th. Well said, Owen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, the Ferrari-powered Ferrari. Oh, and Kim's pulling into the pits there. As Elite Shots has decided he is in the wall again.
Yeah. But yeah, bring back to the point of Chiapelli in this race actually, is Chiapelli not having a good title defence so far this season. Not had, whether it's luck or just poor judgment on his part for some parts of the season. Either way, it's not... I still don't know what I'm saying anymore.
You don't know what word to say. Do you want a dictionary?
Thesaurus would be nice actually with what I'm trying to say. Thesaurus would probably be better. Cambridge one, not the Oxford one.
Who won the boat race at the weekend?
That is a good question. I will probably find out afterwards. Mike is the best way of describing that. There's not really a lot of battles on the circuit. Red Bull Kim has come out just behind Mr. Chiapelli. He's about 1.4 seconds behind and losing time. But yeah, no real battles brewing on the circuit.
No, everyone's quite well spread out at the moment. Sorry, I should have a drink. And it does seem as if, as Bossman Sean now decides that now's the time to pit. But it is going to be interesting when these ultra soft runners do start coming into the pits, is where they're going to feed out. In relation to the people who are staying out a little bit longer. Mr. John and Michael Kenny, for example, are quite a way off the back. That could be crucial for people like Plays and Sim Racing Davis of where they come out in relation to that sort of Mr. John, Michael Kenny gap at the moment, I feel, Owen.
Yeah, very interesting. I've just had a quick look at the comment, and it was transpires the word I was looking for, Mike. Transpire.
Transpires?
That was the word I was looking for.
Right.
Hopefully the comments could help us with who won the boat race at the weekend
come
as
on,
well.
Guys, sort it out. I mean, it could help a poor innocent man here who clearly doesn't know how to England.
Yeah.
He'd be really appreciative of
Oh, no. In score updates, it's 1-0 Reading so far in the Championship, Mike. Bad news for Norwich City.
Gosh.
As the leaders are starting to peel in, by the way.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, the leaders are currently in the pits. So it's a battle of pit stops again. It was Sim Racing Davis who very much came off better last time. So is he going to, again, Dom Smith has picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Play, as we thought he would, has held on to his lead. Has the gap. It was 2.8 when they stopped. And it's about the same. And neither of them, thankfully, have broken their front wings. Exiting the pits as well, which is good news. And interestingly, they have come out ahead of Mr. John. Yeah, well, and Bossman Sean, who is closing on the back of Mr. John. So we're going to have a battle in this race, Mike. We're going to have a battle. Fantastic news. So, Bossman Sean then, he's on fresher tyres, and this could be very easy with DRS assisted as well. He's going to breeze past the Mercedes as they head into turn number 4. Mr. John, he's a wily old fox, and I was about to say he's not going to fight it, but he has fought it. And, and there's a bit of a lag spike there, and I thought he was about to veer towards the Toro Rosso. I don't know if that was just on my screen or on yours as well, Owen, well, they're both off. And they both run a little bit wide. Yeah, Mr. John taking up some rallycross here at Austria. Not known on the World Rallycross schedule, Austria, unfortunately. But, yeah, I think he's trying to make a bid for it to be on the calendar. Yes, yeah, and maybe he's showing the organisers how it should be done. As Bossman Sean runs wide as well there. Chris Johnson is in the pits. Where's he going to come out in relation to people like Bossman Sean and Dom Smith? Right. And Mr. John has come into the pits, but where is Chris Johnson? He's exiting the pit lane now, and he is going to stay ahead of Dom Smith. He keeps it very tidy on the exit to avoid the wall and the line, and he stays in P5. Yeah, he has gone on to the ultra softs. Red Bull Kim has gone on to the soft tyres, which is a bit of a bold strategy because he didn't really have any problems in this race. And I'm just going to, sorry, very briefly interrupt you. We very briefly had a battle for the lead, not between Sim Racing Davis and Plays, but between Bazza and Plays. Bazza hasn't pitted yet, and he very nearly decided to give the leader a puncture as well in the process. Fair enough. Thankfully, he didn't. Yeah, and now I'm expecting Plays to pull away from Bazza. Bazza probably is going to peel in this time round. I imagine so, but this has helped Sim Racing Davis close up. And Bazza decides not to pit this lap. He's going to have DRS on the leader, actually. Yeah. So he runs a little bit wide, but look at this. This is helping out Sim Racing Davis massively. He's within a second of the leader himself, even if Bazza wasn't there. Yeah. But he is there. And he's now got a great run on the Ferrari. And he's going to really have to try and dispose of him as quickly as possible to give himself a chance of winning this, because Bazza has really helped him out at the moment, and he goes down the inside and he takes second place. Yeah, I'm surprised just Bazza actually inclined to help him out after what happened in qualifying with the two drivers. But yes, you're right. Fair enough. Yes, Sim Racing Davis is now all over the back of Plays, and this is a battle for the lead in this race. Yeah, so we have a battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. All 11 of you watching, thank you. It's just gone down to 9, actually. So we have a battle for the lead, and TGIP Plays is on the edge at the moment, and you have to say that Davis is looking better than the Sauber driver. So, are we going to see a change for the lead? We could do. He's coming around the last couple of corners now. Probably a bit too far away to maybe get a move into turn 1, although there is DRS. Down towards turn 1, I think. Here he goes. He might wait to turn 2, to be honest, Mike. I think he's going to have a look, and he's going to have a go, and there's a little bit of contact. And TGIP Plays makes the most of the large run-off area in the edge of turn 1. But this battle very much isn't over yet. In fact, it's in its infancy. It hasn't gone to nursery school yet. As he looks round the outside, going into turn 3, he's going to have the undercut, the whippity-wop, flop-swap, gone to top shop. And he's got the DRS again as they head down to turn 4. I bloody nailed it that time as the Force India driver gets alongside the Sauber and down into turn 4. Later on the brakes, he turns in a little bit late. And for the moment at least, the Force India takes the lead.
Yeah, I think the Force India has got the lead done. He's going to hold on to it to the middle sector. It'll be interesting to see if Plays can stick to the back of him, or maybe his tyres have gone off a little bit earlier.
Maybe so. Obviously, these two both pitted on the same lap. And we're going to have a great scrap now until the end if Sim Racing Davis can't pull away. Obviously, with 3 DRS zones on this track, it's very difficult to be able to get out of reach of that extra straight line speed. Bossman Sean has picked up a 3-second penalty and is actually 3 seconds off the leading pair as the gap's just 3 tenths as they head up into turn 1. Plays is poised perfectly. Oh, that's a good bit of 3. As they head up now to turn number 3 with the DRS in tow. Is the Sauber driver going to look for a move, Owen?
Yes, he is. He's going to try and go round the outside. Oh, Davis has got a little bit wonky. He's gone a little bit deep into the corner. I don't know what I'm saying tonight. My brain's all over the shop. Sim Races Davis is going to have to defend the inside, but doesn't. And that means that TGIP Plays is going to make a move. There's a bit of wheel banging, but he's got the move done. No harm, no foul there, though, Mike.
No, and the position changes again, and these two are hopefully going to be continuing this battle all the way to the end as Davis is practically pushing Plays around the second sector. Oh, I'm doing fantastic with these triple Ps as we head now into the second to last corner. And is he going to try and move? He's going to certainly think about it, but he just about backs out of it in time. That could have ended badly, but Plays is offline as they head on now to the start-finish straight. And as we start lap number 14, we have 5 laps to go, and we definitely have a race on our hands. Just like in Silverstone, the top 2 of Plays and Sim Racing Davis, as Dom Smith picks up a penalty, Perver back, are well poised to battle towards the end. Yeah, definitely well poised. He's going to have a move up the inside at turn number 2 now. And is Davis going to get the move done? He's gone deep once again. And that means Plays would have got him if he didn't get such a poor exit, actually. But he's going to have the DRS Plays. So Plays with the DRS, going to look for a move down the inside at turn 3. Great racing between these two guys. Oh, and that is your battle over there, Mike. Unfortunately so, and I'll tell you what, we now have a battle for P2 because Bossman Sean is poised perfectly to have a go at Plays himself. Despite his 3-second penalty, which we'll ignore for the time being while they're battling, but that might have just given the win. But Sean has damaged his front wing, and round here that's crucial. Yeah, not the mistake you want to make, driving into the back of another driver. You are really smashing these triple Ps tonight, aren't you? Doing better than I am. I can't even think of a word to say half the time. Plays himself, runs a little bit wide into the penultimate corner, and he's got 3 seconds to try and find to be able to make a move and try and get back into first place. Chris Johnson at the moment will be finishing 3rd. He'll be making up for the podium he lost out on in Silverstone thanks to Sean's penalty at the moment, but Sean is currently got the DRS on Plays, and could we see a position change for 3rd place? That is the question. I think it's Chris Johnson on the I can't even think of words again today. Ultra soft. He's on the ultra softs, that's it. I was going to think the more grippy tyres. That was the one I was going for. The more grippy tyres. Is he going to try and claw back to the back of Bossman Sean? He has gained about a second since I last looked at the times, and it is closing slightly, especially if Sean keeps making little mistakes like that. Yep. Well, Bossman Sean has now dropped behind a second of Plays, and Chris Johnson is starting to close in, as you said, on those ultra soft tyres. He's positioning himself well. They've got 6 seconds back to Dom Smith, who himself has got 6.5 seconds back to Giapelli. He's had a good recovery drive, but Dom Smith with that 3-second penalty at the moment not affecting him. Bossman Sean has got within a second again of Plays and will have DRS in the next straight, surely. Chris Johnson within a second of Bossman Sean. He too should have DRS on the next straight. Sean actually just dropped outside of a second, but he has kept the DRS at least. Yeah.
And Chris Johnson's got
But-
DRS himself, yeah. He's now less than
Yeah.
a second behind, so he's definitely, pardon me, closing on Bossman Sean.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm looking at the gaps at the moment, and Sim Racing Davis just checked out at the front. He has gone to town. I tell you what, 4 seconds the gap now. Clearly showing his superior pace. But Sean is maybe struggling with front wing or made a mistake. But Chris Johnson is now right where he needs to be. And he's going to try around the outside into the penultimate corner. And didn't even need to brave it. He's got through and into 3rd place. And at the moment, we're having a double Sauber podium here in Austria.
Yeah, very good run for the Sauber team. Bossman Sean kind of just let him go, to be honest. I think he knew he had front wing damage and thought, there's no point just trying to hold him off. He's clearly going to get past at some point, and thought, you know what, let's get him past. But he's going to come back at him, actually, Bossman Sean. Heading towards turn 2 now. Is he going to go for a move up the inside? No, he thinks better of it. Got a great view of this with the helicopter cam.
Sean doesn't do, and that's give up a fight. No. So we know that even when he's got front wing damage, a 3-second penalty, he can have a Tiger attacking him in that cockpit, and he'd still probably try and go for a move from about half a mile back. In that respect, I massively respect him, even if he has just made a mistake.
Well, like the scene in Talladega Nights when there's the Cougar in the car.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm imagining Bossman Sean coming up against him. Maybe the Cougar is in his head. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why he can sometimes be a little bit reckless. Just calm the Cougar, brother. The Cougar?
The Cougar. Meanwhile, Bazza is actually closing up onto the back of Chiapelli. He pitted a little bit later than, a lot later than Chiapelli, because Chiapelli actually had to pit very early for a new front wing. So he's up in 6th. Bazza on the Ultrasofts is closing in as the leaders are on the final lap of the race.
Yep. So we're going to keep an eye on this battle for the first part of the lap, but we will cut over to the race leaders, obviously, as they reach the end of the race. Bazza, as you said, poised well to try and make a move on Chiapelli into turn number 3, as he has the DRS enabled. And is he going to try and send one up the inside? I think he's going to have to think better of it into turn 3 at least, but down into turn 4 is probably going to be his best shot. And he's got a really good entry, a slightly less good exit, but he's only half a second back. And it's dropped too much now. I think that could be that. But we're going to turn our attention to Sim Racing Davis. It all went wrong for him in qualifying, but he bounced back. He got a perfect start. He was bolshy. He got his elbows out, and he made up the places he needed to do. And in Austria, he takes back-to-back wins. Before this night, we'd only had 2 winners, and now this driver has won 2 of his own. Sim Racing Davis wins in Austria. TGIP Plays is going to come home 2nd. Chris Johnson was almost close to challenging him in 3rd. Bossman Sean is going to cross the line 4th. Dom Smith is going to come home on the track at least 5th, but I think Chiapelli's actually close enough to deny Dom Smith of 5th. Yes, he has, because Dom's other penalties as well. So Chiapelli is 5th. Bazza will be 6th. I'm wondering if Dom Smith is even... Yeah, he will be 7th, because Mr. John is quite far behind. But Mr. John will finish in 8th place. Rebel Kim comes across the line in 9th. Good race for him. And Michael Kenny is our last finisher on the road after we lost Jack Craig after 5 laps and Smokey Jays, who didn't start. Michael Kenny then finishes his McLaren in 10th place. And that is that for tonight's TGP2. And Owen... 3 words are coming to my mind at the moment, and that's Sim, Racing and Davis.
Fair enough. Yeah, had a very good night tonight. Didn't do so well in the Austria qualifying session after that mistake with him and Bazza. Got the 5th place grid penalty, started down in P8, but he's clawed it back and ended up winning here in Austria and taking double victory tonight.
Yep. Well, I've been very impressed with him, as you said. He only really made 1 mistake, and that was in qualifying, and I'm glad that he made up for it. But let's run you through the final order then, as it pings up in front of us. So Sim Racing Davis takes his 2nd win in TGP2, 2nd on the night. TGIP Plays comes home in 2nd, our championship leader. 2 second places tonight. Chris Johnson finally gets his podium in 3rd. Bossman Sean in 4th place. Chiapelli recovered to 5th, but he definitely would have wanted more. Bazza finishes in 6th place. Dom Smith in 7th. Mr. John in 8th. Rebel Kim in 9th place. Michael Kenny rounds out the top 10, and then we had Jack Craig in 11th, and Smokey Jays, who hasn't been on the screen, was 12th. So this championship is still going, But with TGIP Plays gaining 38 points alone on Dan's car, suddenly, though, will he have to be turning his attention to a certain Force India for future races? Owen, I think that, you know, considering we've still got half the season left to go, you wouldn't not put your money on Sim Racing Davis having a shot at least.
Yeah, if he keeps up this form, I think he'll definitely get himself at least a top 3 in the championship the way he's going. No one else is really showing any title-winning credentials apart from these 3 guys.
Nope, our reigning champion is definitely not showing any. Chris Johnson, I think it's too far back pace-wise and points-wise. And aside from that, I can't see any other players getting involved there. Owen, it's been fantastic. Thank you for having me back. And you know, I'll let you sign off before I do the sign-off. Any last words?
Nothing majorly. I think it's going to be Plays is in a very commanding position. That's the words I was thinking of. Struggling all night with them, but
haven't you just? Have you had a drink or two?
No, I haven't actually. Because it might be the problem. But yeah, I think Plays has got a commanding run in the championship, and I think it might end up being his championship to lose from now on.
Yep, I think you're right. Well, Dan's car was sorely missed, but nonetheless, we didn't disappoint having our new member in Sim Racing Davis. Thank you very much for watching all. This has been a TGP Series production. I've been Mike Noon. He's been Owen Quimby. We'll see you next week on PS4.
See you on PS4.